Well, folks, I'm sure you all have heard the old expression, never meet your heroes. And I have really felt that this election cycle. Um, I've not met any of the people that I'm about to talk about, but I will say I've got to know who they are now as people. I've got to hear what they stand for, and I see who they stand with. And not only is it disappointing, but it's pretty damn heartbreaking. I was a lifelong fan, still am, of pro wrestling. I've always watched it. Don't remember not watching it. I don't remember being introduced to it. It was just always on. And one of my all-time favorite characters from day one was The Undertaker. I was a 10-year-old kid when he debuted at the Survivor Series 1990, and I was pointing at the screen going, I know who that is. That's Mean Mark from the Skyscrapers. I was that big of a fan. And I watched every match the dude was ever in. For those of you that don't know, he was at 21 different WrestleManias where he went undefeated. And I watched all 21 of those matches as they happened. And I sat there with my jaw on the floor as Brock Lesnar ended the streak. And I watched him all the way up until he retired. And then my sons grew up and they love watching him, and they're huge fans of his. They're also huge fans of his on-air brother, Kane, which is played by Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. I've always known where Glenn Jacobs stood politically, but I could sort of put it to the side and just enjoy Kane as a character. But I got to be honest with you, The Undertaker broke my heart when he brought Donald Trump on the podcast and sane-washed him and normalized him. And when the only thing that he was truly concerned about was, as far as his daughter's future goes, the only thing he was concerned about was her competing against trans people in sports. He wasn't concerned at all about the rights that had been stripped away from her by Donald Trump. The whole thing was pretty disheartening. I'm not going to show any of the clips for copyright reasons, but I'm also not going to show it because it's pretty hard to watch your heroes turn out to be assholes. Then I saw another clip that just crushed me too, because I've always been a huge fan of Sylvester Stallone. I love the Rocky movies. I'm a huge Rocky mark. I really am. I love all of them, even the ones that are considered bad. They're all somewhat cheesy, but I can sit down and binge watch them all, and I'll watch Rocky 5 right along with the rest of them. I don't care. I love that character, love that story, even love the remakes. Huge fan. And here recently, I've been watching a show called The Tulsa King, which is great. He's playing a really interesting character that I've not really seen him do before, and I love it. But then I see a clip, and I'm not going to show it again because I don't want my heart broke all over again, but I see a clip where Stallone is comparing Trump. He's saying he's a mythical figure, and he's like George Washington. He's going to put America first. And Stallone said that he's never seen anyone with a great comeback story like Donald Trump. And it truly just sickened me and broke my heart to hear it because I'm a huge fan of his work. But you have to stop and ask yourself, can you separate the characters from the people playing them? Because I will always be a fan of the character of The Undertaker. And I will be a fan of what he did in the ring as a pro wrestler. And yeah, I love to still use that term. I don't like the term sports entertainment, but that's for a whole nother video. I can still binge watch Rocky with you. We can sit down and watch the Tulsa King together. And I will still enjoy those characters that he plays. But what you got to realize is just because someone is entertaining you, and just because someone created a character and played a character that you really related to and you really loved and you enjoyed and you really got caught up in that story, that does not mean that that person playing it believes like you or cares about you or cares about the issues that you stand for. In most cases, these are always rich men, but in most cases, it's rich white dudes that have made it. They've been very successful in life. They see the tax cut that Donald Trump is going to bring them. They're not facing the struggles that the fans and the audience and the fans in the movie theaters are facing. They're not facing any of those challenges. And so they're just concerned about themselves and they're looking out for themselves. So then you just have to say to yourself, okay, can I set that to the side and can I watch their shows anyway? To tell you the truth, I'll be able to watch Undertaker matches. I think they were some of the greatest ever. If my sons are watching The Undertaker and Kane, I can watch it. If they appear on the WWE, I'll probably, I will enjoy seeing them come out and chokeslam somebody. But I won't enjoy knowing who the men are now behind the characters. I don't enjoy that at all. And it's pretty disheartening. Now, when I say that they're rich men that, are only, thinking about themselves and thinking about the tax cut they're going to get, I know there's a lot of people probably hearing this and going, but wait a minute, Brando, hold on. There's rich people like Robert De Niro And he come out and slammed and bashed Trump. And there's rich people like Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad. Old Walter White had plenty to say against Donald Trump. But what I would argue is that, yes, those men are rich and successful too. And they've played some of my favorite characters. But they are people who cared about American democracy. They are people who cared about people in their audience that were fighting different struggles. They were willing to look past the tax cut they would get, and they were willing to say, hey, this guy here stands against people in our audience. So I can definitely enjoy a Robert De Niro film. I can definitely enjoy a Bryan Cranston show a lot more than I'm going to enjoy the others, because I know the men behind the characters care about other people and are willing to realize that other people are going through struggles too, and they're not just worried about their own pocketbook. But it is disappointing when you learn who your heroes are behind the mask and behind the character, but you have to realize that those people are just people, and people are flawed, and people have their opinions, and people have their views, and people see things the way they see them. And you know what? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Mark Calloway, that plays the Undertaker, is a mean-spirited person. I'm not going to tell you that Glenn Jacobs is a mean-spirited person, because I have seen Glenn Jacobs do good things for kids in Knox County, Tennessee. So I'm not going to sit here and say that they're all just terrible human beings. I've saw them do good deeds. But they backed a man that did the absolute worst of deeds, and they same-washed it, and they normalized it, and they helped push it forward, and they gave it a platform. I'm not saying Sylvester Stallone is a mean-spirited person or hasn't done great things to help people, hasn't done things to lift people up, but he compared a man to George Washington that did nothing but go out of his way to knock people down. And I just have a feeling that Rocky Balboa wouldn't be for all of these mass deportations and be for all of this cruelty. And I have a feeling that if Donald Trump was trying to pull some of his bullshit, that the gong would hit and the lights would go out and you'd see the Undertaker coming out to give him a choke slam. That's how it should have been. But unfortunately, it's not. Again, I'm not saying it makes them bad people, but we have to realize what they were willing to support and why. And if any of them ever stumbled across a video like this, they would probably be going, what in the world? Where's that guy even coming from with this? I can't even understand how this guy could come to this conclusion. And that's because they've never seen it from our side. They've never seen it from our lens. I'm a guy who has lived hand to mouth most of my life, and I struggled to get to, if my mom and dad got to buy me a pay-per-view, that was like a big deal. They had to save up long in advance to get a WrestleMania. And I never got to see The Undertaker live because my parents could never afford to take me when I was a kid. I just had to watch it on TV. That guy ain't been in people like that's shoes in a long time. So he's not worried about that. And yet it sucks to find out that your heroes are that way. But it reminds me of an old Shooter Jennings song. And I don't know where Shooter stands politically, so someone may jump in the comment section to say, well, he'll disappoint you too. I don't know. He seems like a good dude. But he's got a song that says, your heroes turn out to be assholes, and the light you're chasing in the tunnel is a train. And I feel that these days. But I truly appreciate you guys for hitting that subscribe button. You got me over 400,000, and now we're on the road to 500,000. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that I never disappoint you in the way that some of my heroes have me.